How y'all doing? On this episode, we've got the latest in Reading in Leeds and Rock on the Range lineup, some new music, and Underoath losing their religion. Also, the chapter of Revelations on Panic at the Disco's pop-up tour. And this is your Rock Rewind. Welcome back to Rock Rewind. We've got some good stories to cover for you today, so we're just going to jump into it. First, I want to make sure I covered the sad news that came out yesterday at the time of recording this. The bassist/vocalist of Cave In, Caleb Schofield, has died. It was reported by the New Hampshire Union leader that he was killed in a terrible traffic accident. I'm not going into the details here as I don't feel comfortable discussing them, but there was an article published that goes more into it that I'll leave in the description if you're curious. But be warned, it is very grisly. My thoughts and prayers are with Caleb's family at this time, and we will certainly carry on his legacy through the great music he gave us. Now, speaking on carrying on a legacy, after the passing of Chester Bennington, many people were wondering about the future of Linkin Park, specifically asking Mike what he believed the future held, if there was one at all. He said this in an interview with K-Rock.
For me, I'm waiting to see what kind of reveals itself, because I've looked at it and said, number one, first and foremost, let's not forget that Chester was like one of the greatest rock singers of all time.
No question.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's not just me as a friend. Like, this dude has his voice is like, there's just nothing like it. And so just personally, I have to wrap my head around the idea that, like, I want to be able to get on stage and play a song of ours. I feel like if we do that and we just don't do Chester's parts and let the crowd sing it,
right,
that's, first of all, very heavy. Looking forward into, like, what is the band? Those questions have to get answered, right? And I don't have those answers. So I think by going out into the world and just exploring what's out there, hopefully I'll find some of those.
More from Mike. He's releasing his new solo album soon. It's called Post Traumatic, and it features 2 songs he's already released called Crossing a Line and Nothing Makes Sense Anymore. I already went ahead and gave both of these songs a listen, and I really do like what Mike is hitting with this album. They're both very good, and I'll for sure be reviewing the rest more in depth when it comes out June 15th. Speaking of new albums, The Word Alive have announced their new album, Violent Noise. They just released the first single from it called Red Clouds. I haven't given it a listen yet, but I've honestly never listened to The Word Alive either, so I'm eager to give y'all my review on it next week. They released a video that teases the new album, and we're gonna take a look.
That's where it all started, right?
And that's what Red Clouds is about. It's just, it's like from my perspective of like coming to Arizona and just not knowing what was going to happen and kind of faking it until I've found my place, found a path, and now it's going to be in November. It'll be 10 years since I joined The Word Alive, and that's crazy because that also means, well, last month was 10 years since I met Tony and Zach.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out with him coming from California and, just the beginning of this band, him joining and him traveling from California, Arizona. It's always like going past Red Clouds Road, and just like the sunsets. If you ever been to Arizona and haven't seen the sunsets, it's beautiful. And I feel like this song, Red Clouds, is just kind of the new version of The Word Alive. It still has older elements, and just feel like it resonates with our band, with him, just driving back and forth all the time, and just having that like vibe of him like taking a chance and coming out and trying out for our band. And
I feel like any person who's wanting to chase their dreams, I feel like this song is your song. I feel like this is that song lyrically that a lot of people are going to be able to listen to, and they're going to be able to see themselves in this song. And that's what I wanted to write about, and write about that. You might not think you're ready, but you'll find a way to seize that moment when it comes, but you got to be willing to make that drive.
Indeed, the new album comes out May 4th, and I will try my best to get a review out on it, though that is finals week for me in college, so it may run a few days late. My apologies in advance. Next, we have news on the Smashing Pumpkins. I know especially with MCR fans, a Smashing Pumpkins reunion is a big deal, as it fuels the Smashing Pumpkins theory about MCR's career. If you don't know what that is, do a quick Google search if you're interested. It's very intriguing, to say the least. Anyway, there's been a lot of speculation about the reunion, a lot of people arguing back and forth about the logistics and such. Well, Billy Corgan, lead vocalist of the Smashing Pumpkins, posted this on Instagram. It reads, "Wrote another new song yesterday evening, at the moment affectionately titled The Good Ship Disaster. I don't think it'll last. So working on lyrics for that now, and have been singing each day to find the robust tones buried beneath my oft-quoted nasal whine. I hope everyone is well and appreciate all the positive feedback and photos I received here. Your fidelity is valued and appreciated, and we are certainly lucky as musicians to have such support. I could go on about what's false or misrepresented, but time says the truth will win out in the end, and is best represented by proof that can be seen and felt, like new music, videos, action, and of course, shows. And to that, I can report discussions are in the works for our first international shows. And even earlier, as some Smashing Pumpkins fans know, they're already in the final stages of 2 new EPs. That's exciting, especially when you realize they might be a huge part of the set list on their Shiny and Oh So Bright tour, their first tour in almost 20 years, and it starts this summer. Speaking of tours, I mentioned in the last rewind about Panic at the Disco having a series of pop-up tours. Well, they just played in Lawrence, Kansas a few nights ago, and I wonder if the fact that it's Sam and Dean Winchester's hometown had any bearing on it being one of the stops on this supernatural ride of a new album. Either way, the tour ended yesterday in Austin, and tickets for Panic's summer tour have gone on sale as well. I unfortunately will not be able to attend any of the dates, but I will certainly be keeping up with them and informing y'all of their antics, as well as reviewing the album when it drops. Again on tours, news from Nothing Nowhere. On his Instagram, he posted that, "I've been thinking about the concept of gratitude lately, and how humans have a tendency to take things for granted, even doing something as simple as the ability to use your voice. I never really considered the possibility of losing mine, but sure enough, that is precisely what has happened to me. Yesterday at the hospital, I was told that I have chronic laryngitis and a hemorrhage vocal fold filled with blood. That basically just means my vocal cords are messed up from a number of things. I got sick on tour once again and performed on weak vocal cords for too many nights, resulting in substantial damage, and so the heartbreaking news, I've been advised by multiple doctors and my vocal coach to stop the rest of this tour. My initial reaction was to fight this and to perform regardless, and I tried, but after seeing the diagnosis and being educated on the severity of my condition, I realized that there is nothing I can do to change this. It was either this, or push through and risk not having a career from a permanently damaged voice. I'm at least grateful that I was able to catch this right before I would have needed surgery. Lastly, I want to say that this headlining run has been the most inspiring thing I've ever been a part of. To meet all of you and to see real connections being formed through music is unbelievable. I can't even formulate the words to express how thankful I am to all of you for supporting and changing my life. Thank you for all of your kind messages, your artwork, hugs, and love. It makes me feel worthwhile and optimistic about the future. I'm going to be meeting with my team to devise a plan moving forward, and I'll be back soon. The Reaper always comes back." As he said, he'll be back soon, and I know many of us are already eagerly awaiting his return. I wish him a speedy recovery. Get well soon, and know that the fans are here for you. They're not going anywhere. Now, on to the biggest story we have. Christian rock band Underoath is no longer a Christian rock band. They have stepped away from the religious past. Earlier this year, they released the first single off their new album, Erase Me. The song is called On My Teeth, and not only did it have their first expletive, but the album cover has a very decrepit, brutalized looking type angel on the front. In an interview with Revolver, Spencer Chamberlain said that agreeing not to be a Christian band was one of the best decisions they've ever made, and that when they were recording this album, the phrase, "that's not Underoath enough," wasn't allowed because those two things helped ruin the band to begin with. Chamberlain goes on to talk about the band's past, saying that they had a lot of issues going on behind the scenes of what seemed like their perfect fame. He says, "I was constantly battling drug addiction, guitarist Tim was having identity crisis, and drummer Aaron and us parted ways." After the band's split and final show in 2013, Chamberlain continued with his solo career, and also his battle with his addiction. However, things didn't start getting better until 2015. They reunited with Aaron and came up with plans for a rebirth tour. This got their creative juices flowing and led them to creating this new album. He goes on to address the splitting away from religion. "I think that the whole idea of spelling it out was a no-brainer for us. If anyone understands how a band works, it's really hard to juggle all those relationships and personalities. Then in addition to all that, we were adding religion to it and holding people accountable to different things as they're growing up and learning about themselves and telling them, you have to be like me, do all the things that I'm doing. You couldn't do anything without someone being angry. People don't realize how much that weighs on you. My drug problem was very public, and all of the Christian community hated me. I was struggling, and all I was getting was hate. Like, all I'm having is people tell me how crappy I am most of the time. That's not love, that's not comfortable. The most alone and isolated I've ever been in my life is when I considered myself a Christian personally, because I had real issues going on in my life and no one could talk to me about it. There was no help. There was nothing. It was just hide it. Don't talk about it, because if you do, you're not Christian, and the band can't go on anymore, and that's such an unrealistic thing. Life happens. People deal with stuff differently. It was driving all of us apart, and it was making things really unhealthy, and I had a huge problem with calling the band a Christian band. I think part of music and art is stirring the pot. We couldn't grow musically, and we couldn't grow individually, and once we let that stuff go, we became a healthy, happy family that got along and were able to create music again. I've been off drugs for over a year, and I know that was able to happen because we just let all those titles and restrictions go. That's beautiful to me, and if people are mad about that, they can be mad all they want. I'm at a point in life where I can be happy and healthy, and they really want us to be a metal band and a Christian band again. I would be dead by now. I would be miserable, and overdose on drugs, and there wouldn't be an Underoath. I'm going to leave the link to the full article in the description, but I support Underoath and their decision, and I really need to get on listening to On My Teeth. I'll review it next Saturday as well. I remember growing up listening to Underoath, played at church lock-ins and such, and they were very much a band I associated with my church life growing up. But as I said, people change, and it's good to see them evolving in a healthy way they see fit. Moving on to some announcements, the lineup for Reading and Leeds has gotten even bigger. I won't go through the entire lineup, but if you'd like to pause and skim through it yourself, I'll leave the pick up for a few more seconds. Some of the acts I'm excited for include Fall Out Boy, of course, Post Malone, Underoath, The Used, Panic at the Disco, Dua Lipa, Sum 41, Papa Roach, Beartooth, I Don't Know How But They Found Me, and Hollywood Undead. Of course, as the flyer says, there's still many more to be announced, but that's a monster list so far, and I wish I could go. However, maybe it's a blessing I can't go, because it'd be like Warped Tour on steroids if I went, trying to run around and see my favorite bands. Well, another big festival is Rock on the Range. It takes place May 18th, 19th, and 20th in Columbus, Ohio. Now, this lineup has me super pumped. Again, I'm just going to skim through some of the bands for you, but feel free to pause or click the link to the festival in the description below if you're interested in attending. The first day, May 18th, includes, but not limited to, Alice in Chains, Breaking Benjamin, MGK, Underoath, Amur, Hawthorne Heights, Census Fail, Dance Gavin Dance. And then, May 19th is my favorite day of the festival. We've got Avenged Sevenfold, Stone Sour, 3 Days Grace, Bullet for My Valentine, Black Veil Brides, Asking Alexandria, Trivium, Miss May I, Like Moths to the Flames, and more. The final day is the giant one, with bands like Tool, Godsmack, Stone Temple Pilots, The Used, I Prevail, Anti-Flag, We Came as Romans, and Stitched Up Heart. Honestly, I want to go to this festival really badly. May 17th, the day before the festival, my best friend and I are actually going to be in Indiana nearby. We're going to go see my favorite band of all time, Asking Alexandria. It's the first time I've seen them live in 5 years, and I can't wait for it, especially with how amazing their new album is. I will never stop preaching how amazing they are, so I'd give a lot of money to go see them again 2 days later, because I bet I'd still be crazy starstruck watching them perform. They blow me away every single time. Also, I'm planning on some other videos in the future, some album reviews, concert recaps, etc., so look out for those soon too. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Rock Rewind. Thanks for tuning in, and tuning out the world for a bit. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. If you'd like to follow me in my ravings about my love for music as it happens, the link to my Twitter is in the description. And wherever you are, have a great day. This is Charlie, signing off.